Now, the message that we want to cover today is an introduction to life, why we're here, what's it all about. You know, we all have a purpose. What's it all about? So the Rambam, like always, the man who has mamish changed everything in the way how we think and the way how we do in the halacha. He did the same thing in Emunah Zachem, and he made something which is called the Yud Gimel Ikrim. Where do you find the Yud Gimel Ikrim? Now, what does it mean Yud Gimel Ikrim? Yud Gimel, we know, is 13. Ikrim, he holds that these are the things that is the ikr of a Jew. A Jew, that's the ikr of a Jew. Without these things, you're not considered a total Jew, and you might even have a din. You do. You have a din of a kaifer. You hear this? We're actually talking about the Yud Gimel Ikrim, and we're going to try to understand what the Yud Gimel Ikrim are from a different angle. So, we're Zecha Sean. What's your name?
Levi Friedman.
Levi Friedman. Your face is
Yeah, I used to show up here.
Yeah. That's your face is very familiar. Okay, so what we're going to do over here today is the Rambam, as I've said, as I've introduced. We're not going to. I decided I'm not going to go to exactly what he's doing about Mashiach. So I don't mean to. We're going to be learning this subject together. It's not a subject which you're ever going to be learning in yeshiva, and it's as important as the Aseret HaDibros. You hear this? I'm going to talk to you something that's important to Yiddishkeit, is why we're here, what's it all about, and Rabbi, what we decided to do, Rabbi Mark, what I would like to do is, Rabbi Bernstein is going to be doing about Mashiach per se, and I'm going to be doing Mashiach and 12 other things also. And that is, I'm going to do the Ikrim of the Rambam. And why they're called Ikrim, as I've repeated again and again, is the word Ikrim means Ikr. The Ikr of a Jew. You can get this, you're a Jew, and without it, you're not a Jew in halacha. Like I don't have to treat you like I treat a regular Jew. That's you have a din of a kaifer.
If he's a tinnitus,
of course, he's not going down that road. He's going to people who willingly will not agree to these points. And they're very, very basic points. I mean, we're talking about believing in God. Right? If you don't believe in God, then you're not a Jew, and that means you can can be an Epicurus. But we're gonna get there. We're gonna understand the Torah, what the Torah is about. He's of the opinion. The Rambam's of, and Rashi's of this opinion too. That if you believe in Mashiach, but you don't believe it's min Torah, you're also a kaifer. It's in the Torah too, because Chazal tell us it's in the Torah, and you've got to learn it from the Torah, and we're going to see how the Rambam writes it. And it's very interesting. Everything that we're going to be talking today is going to be to give value to why we're here, and give us such a much more connection to what we do every single day. And that's really what it's all about. It's a connection. Yiddishkeit is a way of life. It was the way of life throughout the generations. Yesterday there was I got a video sent to me by Dirshu. There's a gentleman, I think his name Wilkins or something like that. He's the President Trump made a minister for anti-Semitism throughout the world. Anti-Semitism czar throughout the world. You hear this? I know that I. Yesterday I got something in the email. No, the guy's Walkins. The guy is called Walkins. A guy got me. Walker, right?
Mark Walker.
Mark Walker. Okay, there you see, he knows what I'm saying. This is the story. So he's going.
I never heard about him until like 3 days ago.
Until a few days ago. So he went around visiting. So I got the video clip that I got was his visit to Rav Hillel Hirsch. This guy Walker went to visit a
I
real
think
house.
I think it is not Jewish. This guy.
And not at all Jewish.
It is not Jewish.
He went to and there's the guy from this Shiur of Hofstetter, David Hofstetter is there together with him, and they're discussing anti-Semitism. And this is, he said he was made by President Trump to be to understand anti-Semitism and reduce anti-Semitism worldwide.
It's kind of impossible.
I mean, if you want to know what Mashiach's coming, it sounds very interesting that there's a new president of America making a new czar about anti-Semitism and going around. I mean, do me a favor, he's not Mashiach, but you know what I mean? He's getting nervous.
I asked Lakewood Yeshiva to vote for the governor.
Yeah, I know.
He sent out a tweet to the Kollel and Yeshiva students. In his tweet, he said that, yeah.
It's unbelievable. You're talking about the President of America. You're not talking about the okay. So, I mean, he is the most powerful man in this world at this point in the world. I mean, it's not partial what's going on. So anyway, the point about that we're trying to bring out is, so I listened to the thing. I didn't listen to it too much because I had a lot of other things to take care of. But I listened to the beginning of it, and it was a very interesting conversation where he's explaining why we need this. He says he came from a family that's religious, and the Democrats, or I didn't want to say, there are groups of people who take away the left. He calls them left, so let's not call them Democrats. The left have taken God out of the world. And the crazinesses that we have in the campuses and everything else is that we need to have God. There's a need for God. Man needs God because there's a purpose of what we're doing. And if you've got no purpose, it's very horrible to live life with no purpose. So what we're going to introduce, and that's why I want to just bring out that point, and he was explaining why there's so much anti-Semitism is because, and it's tied together with not believing in God. He says the more you get to understand
who's speaking?
This guy Walker. Now he's wrong because we see that the Christians were one of the biggest anti-Semites out there, and Esav Seiner's Yaakov.
He's also wrong because there are atheists who are not anti-Semites at all.
Right, but they do feel that their purpose of life is to enjoy, or some of that effect,
or to to further humanity and science and
and for whatever purpose that means. For
make
what
life
purpose?
Easier for the future
For the
generations.
future, yeah, even though it doesn't make a difference to you. Right.
At least they convince themselves. No, but it's really the same thing as faith. They've convinced themselves that this is their purpose. Just like you can convince yourself that your purpose is for Hashem.
Right.
And that becomes your purpose. They've convinced themselves that this is their purpose.
So let me tell you something about the idea of convincing yourself that there's no purpose. When you convince yourself there's no purpose, something happens to you. You then feel there's no purpose for what you are, and you're very depressed. Because when you don't have a purpose in what you're doing, one of the biggest reasons you can speak to any psychologist, any psychiatrist, it's the feeling of self-worth. And when you understand who you are and what your purpose in life is, and why you always find Gedolim are so upbeat as people, is because they have such a great sense of purpose. They feel that they are accomplishing, not for themselves, for giving Hashem, and this is one of the big things that we have to understand. What is the idea of just feeling good? It's that you're giving and bringing more of Hashem's glory into this world. And we're going to not live, you don't have to live like a monk, sitting in a castle, away from people and just talking to God. That's not what He wants you to do. On the contrary, He wants you to live with people, be a man, and be a man that everybody says, wow, Ashrei Yiladati. Happy is that parents who have such a child. Because that's giving Hashem covered. Because by saying the parents, you're introducing the concept of look what his religion is, look what he represents, and look who he is. When you're saying his parents, you're referring his upbringing, his whole childhood, everything about him. And it's very important that we put so much stress in that we have to understand. Just this morning, a guy called me up about something. Remember, I had this whole thing about Amalek. Remember that? I don't remember. About Amalek. I had a guy stand up and say, what's the difference in Hamas? They scream God and they kill people. So we're going to be doing the same thing, but we're killing Amalek. And I was so, I remember, Rabbi, I gave a share like the next day. I was so upset. At the time, I said to the guy,
what did he say?
he said, what's the difference between the way how, when Amalek, we're going to be killing Amalek, and the way how Hamas went around and killing, with men, women, and children.
He's criticizing Israel, basically.
No, he wasn't. He was saying
he's equating.
He's equating. He tried to put equation. He says tried to give an answer, and he explained that we're going to be crying when we're doing this. We're Jews, and we're not going to be using heads as footballs and stuff like that. That was his message, and I said, absolutely, you got the wrong story. If you think that you can mention that. What the whole idea of Hamas is, and I want this actually.
But who said the thing
I'm really going off topic, but let me just get to the point.
I mean, the way that we kill them is not nicely. I mean, like Shmuel, he chopped up Agag into, he chopped them up.
Actually, you're going to hear the answer and you're going to see the point.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. That's exactly true. So therefore, he's wrong. You're actually bringing it right. That's not what the point.
No, we kill them in a brutal way.
No, we don't. We didn't kill them in a brutal way.
No, we don't kill them in a brutal way.
No. It does not mean that we have. That was to show. He just chopped off his head. That's all he did. He chopped off his head.
I thought he cut him into pieces.
No, I don't remember that. But he just chopped off his head. But the point was to bring him out and to show that was meant to be done with him. He didn't chop it. Not to my remember. But maybe Rabbi remembers differently. No, I think he chopped off his head and to bring him out, and he asked him, give me a sword, and he took his head and he chopped off his head. That's what I should remember the pasuk says. But maybe you're right. The point though of Amalek is all about. These are the people who, when we were at the look at the Chinuch, when we were at the highest point closest to the world of Mashiach. We were at the point where the world all saw how Hashem took this nation that was never a nation out of Egypt, which was considered the biggest and most powerful country in the world, and it was done with Hashem doing crazy miracles. I mean, crazy in the form of the unheard of change of Teva, 10 changes of Teva, plus the drowning in the Yam Suf. And then this nation, who could not stand the godliness that was coming out and the Kiddush Hashem that was coming out, they went and they fought against Israel, and they fought against Israel just to minimize a little bit the godliness of that moment. That's all that they were doing. They knew they were going to get burnt, and Chazal give the expression of jumping into a fire, knowing you're going to get burnt, but just cooling it down for the outside viewer that it looks like it's possible to do, right? That was Amalek. Amalek is somebody.
But what's their goal? What's your ultimate goal?
The ultimate goal is only one thing: minimizing Hashem in this world. That's what they want. They can't handle too much godliness in this world.
What bothers them?
I know what bothers them. I'm not Amalek, and you're not Amalek. But I tell you what it is. It means that. The Jewish nation now is the ultimate nation.
I mean,
it means
huh? I mean, they're from Esau. We can't understand.
Yeah, no, but it's much more the message of they represent a nation that cannot handle godliness. And Chazal use the words Ein ani Ein kisei shalem. My seat is not, and my shame is not shalom until they get, because they don't want me in this world. It's Hashem created an inside this world, like we have a Yetzirah and Yetzirah. Amalek is the antithesis of Kedusha. They want to minimize. They're the people in this world who have in their mindset not about Jews per se. It's God. And Jews represent God in this world. We represent God to the Goy. Do you know that?
So what's with Hamas screaming God?
So now watch this. And this I'm going to explain to you. Very fascinating. Very good. Very, very good. So Rabbi Frand in this week's Sedra has got a little piece. So there are two nations in this world that have the name of Hashem inside them.
Yeah.
Which two?
Shmuel.
That's right. Shmuel and Israel, right? They are both two nations that have it. However, it's very interesting. We have a very interesting Rashi in last week's Sedra that says that Avram Avinu made them wash their feet because they served the dust on their feet. So Franz says, Shem Rabbi Bergman, I think it's Ramesh Tzvi Bergman. He asks the question, what? They serve the dust on their feet? That's over the top. He says, come on, they serve the dust. I mean you're standing on this and you can make that into an avodah zarah? You hear the question? It's a fair question. That's over the top. Isn't that over the top already?
They could have picked something better.
He says you've got to understand Yishmael does something very amazing. They say anything is God. Whatever they do, they put God next to whatever they do. Whatever they want to do, they just say God. Okay? And that's where they make it holy. Even they worship the dust on their feet. And that's what they do. They make everything holy. That everything they do, every averah, any crazy, most despicable act, just attach the word God to it, and that's good. That's the way how they believe. They believe that you can make anything holy. You can take the worst act and just use the word God, and that justifies my action automatically. That's all I'm doing. I just have to attach the word God to it. And that's why they do the craziest stuff and scream what they scream, right? Right?
The Christians did the same thing. The Crusades.
Could be, but that's what the Nakuda is. That's the Nakuda. The Crusades were slightly different because they believed in reality. They had a belief which was debunked many times, but they believed that the world will come back to its tachlis when the Jews go. When all Jews become Christians. That's mamish what they hold. I mean, I don't want to go into too much into that mythology.
I thought they think something about like they want the Jews to be in Israel.
No. They want the Jews to be Christians. That's their focus, and the reason is that they have a certain thing about it because that's going to make whoever their Mashiach come to become Mashiach.
But they didn't justify killing Jews as a god, like for a godly cause.
Because they were against their thought. They were against their thought. They were against their beliefs. Right. But that's very different. They weren't trying to conquer the land. They weren't saying that you represent, you live over here, and I want to take your land, and from the river to the sea, that concept. There was no political message that they were doing, except for one thing. They were on an act of bringing their version of God back down again through Mashiach, and they believed very strongly in the idea of Mashiach will be when every Jew becomes a goy. Okay, but that's not that was the old fashioned, and it's changed so many different variables, and it's not worthwhile going into
also like within Christians you have many different
there's sects and everything. Believe me,
with Muslims it's more unified.
It's much there's Sunni.
I mean, there's two different. Yeah, I know.
Sunni and thing, and there's very different versions of Sunni and very different versions. They have the same as like Hasidim and Litvaks. Okay, they have all different versions. But the point about it is, and that's fascinating, is that you can have a message of what is Amalek. Amalek is for you to understand that we're fighting Amalek is not we're fighting Amalek. It doesn't mean we don't take any spoil, we don't take any of their money, we don't do anything, we don't take their land, we're not interested in their land, we're not interested in anything except for removing them because they're stopping Mashiach. Mashiach is going to come and make the fight because now we're at the same moment as we were by Yetzias Mitzrayim. Now is the moment to get rid of that. People that hate, because they're not going to let you do it. They're not going to let you get there. They just did it when we left Mitzrayim, and that was the moment where Klal Yisrael was the most cherished nation by the world. The world all heard about Kol Ha'olam Kulai, heard Yetzias Mitzrayim. As I tell everybody, the guys who tried to do a dive in the water, right? The water split everywhere. So a guy got more than a belly flop, okay? Right? When he was diving in, right? If he was diving in Bishas, right? It wasn't just a belly flop, right? So also, the world, when they came back in Torah, there wasn't a sound in the world. And there's a whole schmooze, why not? But we'll get it clear, and that is, there wasn't a sound in the world. There wasn't a sound in the world. You know what the world sounds like when it's, you don't realize how much what we call noise pollution is in New York City, right? New York City is, you go to sleep at night, you have no idea how much noise you're hearing, and you just don't chap it. And you get used to it. I mean, it's very good. And they even now have noise machines that you plug in, which adds more noise, but you're getting
to get rid of other noise.
To get rid of other noise, and that automatically makes it. It's the type of noise that drives you crazy enough that you're going to fall asleep just listening to it. Right? Okay? Basically, right? Or it's smooth enough to be able to relax you enough to make you. One way or the other, you fall asleep with those noise machines. I never understood what the idea is to fall asleep, because you don't want to hear noise with other noise. But okay, it's just when you should know that it's the way how people think, and I'll tell you how bad it is. Because the truth is, the real bottom line is, I have 11 kids, so I can tell you. When you have kids, I used to be able to walk into the room, switch on the light, and do whatever the kids were sleeping away. I never let them get used to the idea of all these machines and all these things, and therefore they got used to the idea of somebody walking into the room and just still staying asleep, right? And that's how it is. And none of my kids ever had the machines, and they all had good night's sleeps, to my knowledge. Okay, which father knows really what time the kid goes to bed? But I thought at least they had a good night's sleep, right? So that's the way how it is. And today all my kids come home. They come for Shabbos, and they all come with their machines to plug into the thing, because the kids, the baby needs to have a noise machine to be able to get to sleep. Because how else do you get to sleep? Which kid doesn't need a noise machine? Okay. Anyway, but I'm going off topic. So the idea of Amalek, and the whole idea of Amalek, and this is important for this whole Ikar, is where does the Rambam again? Is godliness, and our fight against godliness, and we're not fighting against me getting their land and me getting their spoils and me taking it, and that's what Yishmael represents. Yishmael represents this horrible thing of taking God's name to everything. I can do anything wrong. I just call it godly. I make it into a mitzvah. They make their own mitzvahs. They actually have a man who can write mitzvahs. Whatever they do, they can write their own mitzvahs. And that's what they do. Make it into a mitzvah, and now it's a mitzvah to destroy all Jews. It's a new mitzvah. And that becomes a mitzvah, and now that becomes a new one of the Ikrim of being a real Yishmaeli. I can now have a mitzvah to kill all Jews, right? And that's what they do. They make everything to a mitzvah, and once they make it to a mitzvah, and that's what it is. There are two nations. We also have Hashem's name, but we're Yasha. We come from the Ovis, Yisrael. Yisrael is Yasha.
Yasha is what?
Yasha is straight. There's no deviation. There's never change.
And the other one was what?
Yishmael, which is basically whatever they hear and whatever they want to
what
make up.
What were the words for hear?
Tishama. Yishama, right? So whatever they will hear and whatever they want to hear, right? It all of a sudden becomes. We don't go that way. We go with a total different way. It's not whatever we decide, whatever we come up to. We're up to a total different way of looking at Hashem. This is what Rabbi Frand says, B'Shem Rabbi Bergman, that the idea is that they put godliness into the worst acts, and therefore it looks like even the dust on their feet could be holy, because they can cause anything to be holy, because the shmutz of the shmutz is to them holy. There's nothing worse than what happened in October 7th, or you want to say Shemini Atzeres, right? Nothing worse. Yet, Allah Akbar. They did it with godliness. And none of that. They Davka chose a time when it was Shabbos, and they Davka did it because they felt that that's when Hashem's going to be angry. They Taka were right, but it's a different point. They chose the moment when Yom Tov and Hashem should be angry and everything else. Because
I don't follow Hashem's angry on Yom Tov.
Hashem's angry with the Jews who are desecrating Yom Tov.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
these guys.
That was part of their cheshbon?
That was part of the cheshbon. You know that? That was Mamsha, very ikka part of the Cheshbon. Forget, they let out a lot of people who were Shem Shabbos.
Really, the Quran says that the Jews are the chosen people.
Right, but I think, and it got changed. According to the Quran, they started off with, and so I heard, again, I never read it. So this is what I heard. The Jews were started off the chosen people, and then we got corrupted, and they became the chosen people.
No, but they also believe what the Christians say. The Muslims also believe.
They don't believe in Yashka at all. They don't believe.
No,
in
but
Yashka.
I'm saying they.
don't have
I'm saying
any belief in Yashka.
No, but I think they do. No.
He's a prophet and not a major prophet.
No, but they say it was changed from that also. They say it was changed. I don't know what they say.
You know what?
Yeah.
I tell you something. I don't know, and we're on tape, so I can't say anything which I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not. We're on tape. We're on the record. So let me just say this.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn. We're gonna learn now.
This
We're gonna learn in Mitzvah Shem.
is yours. Oh, this one. You're not drinking this.
Okay. Kol Yisrael,
Yeah,
thank you very much. Can make a shackle.
This is yours.
So, I'm gonna make another bracha.
Amen.
So we're going to learn something very nice. There's a very nice Rambam. I hope we're going to be able to finish it. We won't be able to finish it today, of course. We won't be able to finish it tomorrow either. I mean, next week either. But it's going to take a few weeks, a good few weeks. But it's so interesting, fascinatingly interesting. If you just give yourself allow yourself to sit back and just listen to what he has to say. Let's start off. So we always say these words. I tell you where to find it. Is the Rambam Perish Mishnayos at the end of Sanhedrin, and the 10th parak starts off with the words Kol Yisrael Yesh Lehem Chet Lehem Mabah. You ever heard those words? Kol Yisrael Yesh Lehem Chet Lehem Mabah. So the Rambam, like in his brilliant, always says, "What is Lehem Mabah?" Everyone has a Chet, and everybody gets there, even if he didn't do anything wrong. Kol Yisrael Yesh Lehem Chet. And why does he say Lehem Mabah? What's going on over here? Let's get this right. So it says, I want to share with you. So by the way, guys, it came at exactly the right moment. Do you know why it is exactly the right moment? I'll tell you why. Because whenever you come, it's the right moment. Okay. The other reason is because we just started. What I mean, we had a very big introduction. And I'm not going to be doing only about Mashiach, but we will get there. We're going to talk about 13 basic principles of what it means to be a Jew. But we're going to start off, as the Rambam always does, and you've got to sit back and relax, in what's Olam Haba about? What is Olam Haba? What does Olam Haba mean? Olam Haba. Does it mean the world that will one day happen? There's going to be a new world. That way, Olam Hazeh, and then there's going to be a new world called Olam Haba. Or does it mean the world that's here today, and it means the Shemayim upstairs, and that's Olam Haba? The Olam Haba means upstairs. And he goes through it very smartly, and he brings down, I don't know how many Kithim, Kat Shlishi, Kat Ravi, Kat.
Where's the Rambam?
The Rambam is in the end of Maseches Sanhedrin.
Oh yeah, okay, fine.
And this is when you came in, and it's perfect timing.
No, but it's not in.
It's not nowhere else. It's not.
No, I'm saying this
not
Rambam.
Mishnah Torah. It's not Mishnah Torah. No, there's not Mishnah Torah. The only thing that
Rambam wrote a parish on Chelak.
Yeah.
He wrote it. Yeah.
He wrote. This is the Rambam's parish.
On Per Chelak.
No, not on Per Chelak per se. But what he did is,
I don't know.
He did it on the Mishnayos. Like he always does on the Mishnah. However, he says, I did something out of my norm because it's too important to skip. And I spent a long time on it. And remember, I read this out last week. It writes over here, I really didn't do this because I wanted to just write something. He says over here, Loshen, when you finish these basic all these 13 Yesodis, that is called a Jew. That is a Jew. U'mitzvah la'avoy, you're mechuyev to love him, u'larachim alav, and to have mercy on him, and to give to do whatever Hashem says to do for every Jew. Ish lechaverei min ha'ava v'na achva v'afilu ma sheyochel min ha'averos. Even if, let's say, the guy is a bal avera, he does all averos, but he has these things. Don't worry about it. That's his problem between him and Hashem. Your problem is how to deal with a guy between you and him. Does he have these 13? Then you deal with him like a regular Jew. His problems with God, he says like this. Now, if he's also Mashiach men Averis Machmas Atayva, V'Eskavris Ateva, Hagrua, Hunenish Kifichotov, Aval Yesh Lechel Ulmabo. He's still a Jew.
Even if he has what?
Taivas and this Gabras and everything else, he's got Chelik Ulmabo. You'll see what his definition of Ulmabo is, okay? But we're going to get it. But Vuhu miposh yisro avo yesh lo chelam Vuhu miposh yisro ukisheskalko, and that's he's called what you call a posh yisro. He's called what they call a posh yisro. He's still got a name of the yisro. Ukisheskalko odom yisoid me'ela. Hayisodus, but if a guy falls off one of these, and he starts saying, you know what? I believe in Techis Mason, but it's not in HaTorah. Just basic stuff, which is you got to believe that everything is from Hashem, and you have to believe in all mitzvahs, and you have to believe that they're all from Hashem. And Moshe Ben did not make up didn't change one iota from what he heard from Hashem. Believe in Moshe, believe in everything that he says. These are the basics. And that's all you have to know. I mean,
that all of the deviation that he did, that what?
The guy says, I believe in Techis HaMesim, but I don't think it's min HaTorah. There's no raya from the Torah.
That's a specific thing or something like that?
That's one example.
An example?
But Rashi brings that as an example. Rashi says that the guy doesn't believe that it's min HaTorah, that you can find, the Gemara says it's min HaTorah, and we'll see where it says it in the Torah, but the Rambam says it's mamish in the Torah, that there's going to be Techis HaMesim. And Olam Haba. That's already a very, very important zach, but the Lemais doesn't say it in the Torah. I don't think Olam Haba. The Olam Haba, I don't even know whether it's one of the Ikrim. All he says you're going to get punished and you get rewarded. I don't even know whether Olam Haba is an Ikr. It depends what definition of Olam Haba is, by the way.
What do you mean? There are different levels of Olam Haba?
We're going to see. I can't give away the whole story without finishing. But there's a very interesting. What is it? You're asking good questions, and we haven't even started the first line. Here goes. Riza daba bekan beikrim ram b'amuna gedoyim nechman amoid. Havidu kibali HaTorah nechel kudei seim b'toiva kshegila odam b'asiyas hamitzvos shitzavona b'hem hashbachu aydei Moshe Rabbeinu. And you know what? I don't know whether I should translate it. Just read it as reading it out. I'm going to tell you something, he says. You should know this is a very complex machlekes that happened between Gedolei Yisrael. What I'm going to be talking about now, he says, I'm introducing you to something which is being misunderstood, and I'm going to try to bring out what the reality of all these areas are. It's about time, he says, almost like I'm going to deviate from what I normally do because I want to explain them to you. Everybody knows Kibali HaTorah Nachal Gu with them because people. First of all, what will happen if a person does mitzvahs? What's going to be if a person does averos? What happens to that person? There's a machlekes. What happens to that guy? We learned as kids. You go to Olam Haba if you do mitzvahs. If you do averos, you get Gehenna. That's all we know.
But then you go to Gan Eden.
It sounds like there's a stop-off point to Gehenna, okay? Stop-off point to Gehenna. That's how we learned it. Up to a year, stop-off, cleaning purpose. Now, there's a very big machlek, as he says. Rabbis Moed, Lefi, Hishtanas Sechleim, everyone has a different way of thinking, and they come up with different svaras, and there's so much mix-up in this area that you can't find anybody when you go through these inyanim that has it's just one big mess. Shibush Godel, he writes. Shibush Godel is just one big mess. So he said, let me give you ideas of which people say. And he starts off Kat Rishon, Kat Sheni, so let's go through the first one. Everyone, you think, yeah, that's right. And you'll see. Watch this. Here's Kat Rishona. Kat Rishona, they hold that good is Gan Eden. Gan Eden is good. That's the mokim that we're over there. We're going to have good food and we're going to be enjoying ourselves. We don't need to do anything. Hashem's going to give us whatever we need. We don't need to do anything. We're going to have great houses over there. We're going to have great beds. Everything is going to be beautifully looked after. We're going to have wine, whatever we need. We're going to have all different stuff. Anything we can think of, which are gashmistic ideas. And Ra, Gehenna, that's a place where it burns with fire.
It's a physical place?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like a very physical place where we can enjoy life without. We'll have a Lexus that goes without electricity. Can you imagine? It will drive around without any problems, and we won't need electricity to go. Yeah.
These are all after death.
After death.
No,
That's a good question. It's after.
It's after you finish death, or
Good question. Just your mom's asking good questions, and it's so unfair. We're just saying, what's Olam Haba? And sorry, what happens when you do mitzvahs? This happens when you do mitzvahs. When you do mitzvahs after death. Okay, let's go this way. After death, didn't call it yet Olam Haba. After death, then you go to a place where you can. If you're a wagon driver and you have beautiful horses, you're going to have a gorgeous straight road with night white steeds, and you're going to have this gorgeous carriage, and you're just going to be able to whip it along, and you don't have to whip it even. They go on their own. It'll be a great place, a great Olam Haba. And I've heard some guys describing that, how does the peasant go to Olam Haba? If his Kodesh Olam B'Shachas, he's going to go there with a nice, gorgeous, that's where he's going to be going. So he says that's the picture that you can have, and you can have great food, you're going to have beautiful clothing.
Okay. Olam Haba?
The reward for mitzvahs. This is the reward for mitzvahs.
I thought it's all spiritual. It's not.
You're getting carried away. Now let's give you the first way of thinking, the peasant's way of thinking. Let's go to the peasant's way of thinking. He goes to Kat Rishona, the first way.
So he's going to go through possibilities and he's going to get rid of it. He's going to debunk some of them.
He's going to debunk.
Some. Okay.
That's a good word actually. We'll debunk some stuff. Yeah. That's what he's going to do over here. So he says, and what's Gehenna? This one, by the way, everybody agrees with us. No, here's a place which is a burning fire. There's
but it's not a real fire; it's a spiritual fire. Whatever that means.
And when it's a fire, over there they burn bodies, and they get reburnt and kept on getting reburnt. These bodies
burn them into steak.
They burn them into steak, and then they re-stake them again, and they on the steak, and they get reburnt on the steak also. And you get beaten over there. And these people bring love rise from Chazal. And there's many psukim, and they're very, very logic. If you look at certain Mamorei Chazal, it fits in exactly to the wording of Chazal. Then, now we're up to Kat Shniya. The second group. Now, they hold that the ultimate you're going to get Tova, is really going to be Mois HaMashiach. That's the ultimate good in this world. And may Mashiach come quickly. And they hold, then everybody's going to be like Malachim. We're going to be people, we're going to be like no Averas. We're going to have nothing. We're going to be men, perfect people. We're going to be all walking around over there like Kulam Chaim Kayom La'ad. We're going to live forever. And we're going to just, I don't know, maybe grow a little bit bigger, and then we'll mamish, the world will be full of people, and people will be like walking malachim, and the Mashiach, he'll live also Be'ez Hashem Yisparach, also during that time. And he's also going to be, and those times, by the way, the earth is going to have gorgeous plants. They're going to have clothing coming out of the plants, gorgeous, well designed clothing, and there's going to be bread coming out of the trees. Trees are going to have beautiful bread coming out of the trees, and it's going to be a world where everything is so amazingly all ready for us. And there's so many different parts of that. He says, and what's evil? Even evil will be the guys who in those days don't get up and they're not zeicher to see, and they stay in the world. and they bring many rayas.
They stay where?
And they stay in the underworld. They're gone. They've lost their nitzchis. They're gone. They're gone from
Even,
like an animal.
Meaning even
He didn't say anything. The definition of evil is a person. Ultimate evil is good. Ultimate good is days of Mashiach. The days of Mashiach, when everything is going to, like, you have trees growing, all these beautiful, ready-made products, right? Nothing made in China anymore. It's all made in USA. It's just on the tree. Just go on the tree. Made in Israel, right? Made in Israel, and it's all going to be on the tree. Everything on the tree. Whatever you need. You need to have a bottle of milk. Just go to the tree. Maybe the cows are still around. Okay, but if you need anything. They want cheese, that's a little different. But I'm saying, all of cheese maybe you have to get from the trees. But the idea is that everything grows on the tree. Everything you need, everything you want, it'll all be grown on the tree. Your clothing, it might not have the label that you were looking for, but it's going to be still kosher enough to wear, and you'll be able to be fine enough. The clothing will be perfect clothing. It won't be designer, but it's from the ultimate designer. How about that? Right? It's not going to be designer clothing, it's going to be the ultimate designer clothing. Okay? So he says over here, that is going to be good, and bad is if you want zeichen, you're just like an animal basically, and you just, and they bring many rayos from Chazal, and there's very good reasons to say it, and there's mamish psukim, and Mamorim Chazal, they all fit into this way of thinking.
They're saying it's wrong.
Right? I'm not saying anything yet.
Oh, okay.
Kat Shlishi, now up to the third group. The Kat Shlishi is saying they hold that ultimate good is Tchis HaMesim. And that is that a person will be reborn after he's already passed away. And he's going to now come back to all his relatives and he's going to eat with them, and there won't be any more death anymore. There's no more death. And bad is, again, a guy who doesn't get up. Sounds very similar to the one before, but okay. And this is the idea. And they bring many rights of psukim.
Tchis happens after Mashiach.
Okay, so he's saying it's.
I thought bad would be the guys in Gehenna forever or something like that.
Okay, we're going to get there. Kat Revius. Now we're up to the next group. If we can stop now. But we're going to carry on next week. The fourth group and the fifth group.
What were the attributes of a Jew that you started?
We started with.
What were you said there were 13 attributes
of a Jew. Yeah. I didn't explain any of them yet, because this is the beginning. It starts off. You said Rishon, you said Sheni, but this is first of all Olam Haba. First we'll get to know what's it all about, and then we're going to get to what it means to be a Jew.
Does it correspond to the 13 attributes of mercy?
No.
Or just
It just happens to be 13, and it was just a number 13. I'm sure if you had some Chassidish guy, some Chassidish whatever, it will put it together, but I can't do it. Okay.
Thank you.